Someone commented that they want to hear about MLMs, so today we're going to talk about this inquiry against Modere. By the way, before we start, hi, I'm Natasha. I'm an advertising attorney, and let's get into it. So, the DSSRC brought this against Modere. The DSSRC is the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council, a self-regulation program, and this was actually referred by a group called TINA, Truth in Advertising. They're a non-governmental advocacy group. They challenged two things. One was earnings claims, which is claims that people in the company were making, thousands of dollars selling Modere products. And then the other challenge was about performance claims and how well the products performed. Tina felt that there was some exaggeration or that the products were not actually performing as they said they were. So this actually isn't the first time a company has been challenged for earnings claims. If this is something of interest, please comment, because there are several FTC investigations about this. But basically, when a company that has tiers like an MLM company, they have their people go and say, this is a great opportunity, you can earn X amount of money. They have to have substantiation behind that, but they also can't exaggerate what they're making. So, for example, if someone in the company is making $1 million, but the majority of people that join are only making $5 a month, that person can't go and say, you can make $1 million because I'm doing it, because that would be misleading, and that causes people to quit jobs or sometimes incur extra costs to join the company with a false impression of what will happen if they do so. So here are some examples of what people were saying about joining Modere. People's lives are being changed, their finances, health, their families. This market will be a $48 billion by 2027 and up to $58.2 billion by 2030. That's a lot. You can read if you want, but this business has afforded me the opportunity to travel and live my life and design a life I've always wanted. If we learned anything during the lockdown, it's that working from home and actually being able to generate an income that is versatile, residual, long-lasting is important, and being able to be with your family is important, but also being able to make money and pay your bills is important too. So there were a lot of earnings claims that these people were making about the opportunity they had with Modere. I would also like to point out that a lot of these claims are being disseminated over social media, which is important because that has a broad reach. So the other part were the claims. Tina, who referred Modere to the DSSRC, had an issue with the claims, claiming that they were making unsubstantiated claims and disease claims. So we'll split that into two parts. Dietary supplements can support everyday health. They can support your immune health or support, everyday joint health, but they can't cure arthritis. They can't cure the cold and flu. So if you're purporting that a dietary supplement helps with a disease, then that is a disease claim. And then the other part of that is that all claims that a product has on packaging must be substantiated. So if a company says this product helps with immune health, they have to have backup for that. They have to back that up with science. So, double-blind placebo-controlled studies or some sort of science evidence that the ingredients in the product do actually support immune health at the amount that they are in the product. So in this case, Modere was launching two different products. One was a menopause product for women going through menopause, and then one was more of like a menstrual cycle product, so for women who were still getting a menstrual cycle. So let's talk about these products. There is a difference between saying occasional cramping and, occasional sleeplessness. Basically, if it's something that happens occasionally or is part of a normal human body, a dietary supplement might be able to help with that. But if you're talking about something like uncontrollable mood swings, which could be depression, anxiety, that's a disease. If you're talking about acne, that is technically a disease. Hot flashes may be okay depending on if they're occasional, but night sweats might also be a disease. So some of these claims could be disease claims depending on how you look at it, and some of them are probably okay if there was substantiation that the dietary supplement could help. So, for example, it says, no more night sweats, stress and anxiety levels down. Those are probably leaning towards disease claims, even if they are substantiated. And also potentially this regulate those hormones without hormone therapy claim may be a little iffy. I think that is what some of the big flags were. But some of these claims might be okay as long as they have proper substantiation, like supports stress and energy levels, iron metabolism. Again, depending on the substantiation and the way the claim is worded and how it's presented, might be okay. So in these inquiries, the DSSRC will issue something to the company and say, please answer these questions. We don't know because we don't see the communications that happen, but they do publicly report on the outcome. So they will say, hey, we got this inquiry from this group. Please answer these questions. We would like to see your substantiation and whatnot. And then the company Modera would go through and give them their substantiation and say, this is why we think these claims are okay. And then the DSSRC would come up with a final decision. So we'll just jump right to the analysis and decision because it's the more exciting part anyways. But the DSSRC asked Modera to have the individuals take down their social media posts referring to earnings claims, the earnings claims especially that were quoted above. And as you can see, it says here, as a general principle, DSSRC cautions direct selling companies and their independent salesforce members against the use of any words or images communicating that a direct selling business opportunity will result in earnings beyond what can generally be expected by the typical salesforce member in the depicted circumstances. So again, the person making millions of dollars is not the norm, and so we shouldn't be talking about that. And then, of course, there's more examples like quit your job, be set for life, make more money than you ever thought possible, like unlimited or replacement income, anything that insinuates that this could replace your 9-to-5 job and make people want to quit or change their lifestyle or accrue debt getting into this company because of an opportunity that might not actually be there. And also talking about financial or time freedom. So now we get into the product performance claims, and I do want to point out that the DSSRC did state that Modera did not evaluate its products as a whole, so the OVA product, the OVA-M product, the menopause and menstrual cycle product, which is not a fatal flaw according to the DSSRC. If the product as a whole is not evaluated, then they look to the ingredients to see does the ingredient, is it in an amount that is sufficient for what it says it's going to do, and does it actually perform? Is there substantiation that this ingredient does do what they're claiming it does? So ultimately, Modera must have provided pretty good substantiation because the DSSRC did determine that there was a reasonable basis for a lot of claims, including reduced hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, improved sleep health, mood, libido, cognitive health, energy support, oxidative stress, and then general statements, comfort associated with mood swings, bloating and breast tenderness, healthy blood flow. But they did not provide enough evidence for claims that this OVA reduced bloating and abdominal cramps, supported libido, supported liver health and detoxification, or that it supported the endocannabinoid system. So what happens after this is issued is that Modere takes what the DSSRC says, hopefully implements any changes they recommend. If not, the DSSRC can then either refer them to the FTC or decide what to do next. Companies sometimes follow, sometimes don't. It looks like here that Modere was compliant and cooperative, and so it says that they're going to take the DSSRC's findings into consideration in future advertising. So if you found this interesting and you want me to do a deep dive on any other MLMs, I know there are some big ones out there, some big names, like, I won't even name them. You tell me if you want me to do a deep dive. I'm happy to. I find these fascinating and fun to talk about.